Whoever thought bringing whiskey into a military academy was a good idea should really rethink their choices. Hi, I'm the Balaclava Businessman, and today we're going to be talking about by far one of the most wacky things I have ever heard of. It's called the Eggnog Riot. If you enjoy this video, it would be much appreciated if you would like the video and consider subscribing. It's free and it would mean a lot to me. But anyway, let's begin our story. On December 22nd of 1826, at a local tavern, a fight almost broke out between some cadets that attend the academy at West Point. And why were they fighting? That's because they wanted to smuggle whiskey across the Hudson to bring to a party that would be happening a couple nights later at the North Barracks. Me personally, Godspeed to those three men that would be smuggling 2 gallons of whiskey to the barracks. They only originally planned to bring half a gallon, but what could go wrong with 2, am I right? Now let's fast forward to the next day where the cadets planned out the party. They concluded that they should steal small amounts of food from the mess hall each time they visited. And around this time, officers were also throwing a party at, I can't really pronounce his name, but I'm gonna try here. Sylvanus Thayer's house. You know, we're just gonna go with Thayer. Thayer was the main guy in command of the academy. He knew that the cadets were about to get shit-faced drunk on Christmas, and he did the equivalent of saying that the Empire is pretty chill and did not plan on putting any extra guards on duty during that next night. There would only be 2 officers on duty that night, Captain Hitchcock and Lieutenant Thornton. Now this is where things get juicy. Through the night of the 24th and the morning of the 25th, the party had started. From 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., multiple cadets had started to gather up around room 28 in the North Barracks to get absolutely hammered at this eggnog party. Hell, room 5 saw the fun that these guys were having and decided, fuck it, we can do better than that, and started to party like there was no tomorrow as well. So much so that Cadet Charles Wimple, the division superintendent at this time, went to room 5 after hearing the commotion, where, would you know it, 8 cadets, including none other than Jefferson Davis, you heard me right, you know, the future president of the Confederate States of America, were partying like there was no tomorrow and are absolutely hammered. Now by 4 a.m., the floor above Hitchcock was so goddamn loud that the faculty went up to investigate the commotion coming from room 28. Hitchcock went into the room and found 6 cadets drunk and 2 others blacked out on their beds. Hitchcock ordered everyone out of the room and lectured the residents for having alcohol in the room. He left around 4:15. One of the cadets, named James Berrien, was very pissed and went back and forth with the captain. When Hitchcock went up to his room to go to sleep, he would hear people knocking on his door. Whenever he went up to check, there was no one there. This would happen 2 other times until he pretended to pitter-patter and stomp off to bed and waited for the knock-knock that came to the door, and wouldn't you know it, bang bang, there was a loud knock and he yanked open the door. And when he looked outside, he could see the ass of someone running down the hallway. These were some drunken fools playing Ding Dong Ditch. So, I mean, ultimate respect to them, I guess. But this is one hell of a game of Ding Dong Ditch that I would not even want to play. Now that these drunken fools were ding dong ditching him, he said enough is enough and started going room to room taking names to report tomorrow for the, you kinda got drunk list. One guy hid his face by putting a hat over it, which resulted in Hancock snatching the hat off of his face. But wouldn't you know it that these drunken fools took that as an attack. They started to plan to take out Hitchcock and attack him. So, they kind of were able to get some pistols and some knives and some swords to go along with this plan. They also somehow got drums and a fife, which is like a goofy little flute. And Hitchcock, during this, is still going room to room, knocking on doors, trying to get everyone asleep and stop the partying from going even harder. Eventually, he goes through one room where there is around 13 guys partying and having a good time. Upon arriving, Hancock orders them to open their footlockers because this is where they are hiding all of their booze. They refuse. And during this, wouldn't you know it, Jefferson Davis straight up comes in the room, slams the door, and straight up says, "Guys, ooh, I see Hitchcock, hide the booze!" And like I said before, Hitchcock was in the room when this happened, so this was kind of stupid on Davis's part, but yeah, at this point I'm pretty sure Hitchcock is the only sober person in this room. So he basically tells them to all go to sleep, and because it's nighty-night time. And at this time, the drunken fools with the drums and all that started banging on the drums to get people awake. I don't really know why, they just started to bang it. I assume because it did wake absolutely everyone up. And out of the people it woke up Lieutenant Thornton, which, because he heard this fucking bang bang drum, which should only be used in emergencies when something's happening, he gets out of bed to go investigate. Then Cadet William Fitzgerald jumps his ass and pulls out a fucking sword. He literally tries to run his pockets or some shit. Thornton rolls a speech check and somehow passes because he straight up told him, like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He drops the sword, and then Fitzgerald just drops dead. He just passes the fuck out. When Hitchcock goes back to his room, several cadets start attacking his door, and one cadet straight up draws a pistol and fires at the door, thankfully not really harming Hitchcock at all. But reasonably, Hitchcock opens the door, or peeks out more likely, and begins to question, like, what the fuck is going on. Because shit is getting out of hand at this point, he calls for the comm, which is the Commodore, the person who is in charge of the base, or whatever, something like that. I'm retarded, don't ask me. But the drunken fools thought he said the bombs, not the comm. These guys are so stupid that he thought that he said bomb. And bombs refer to the bombardiers, or the guys who would use artillery, the artillerymen. Straight up, these guys thought he was about to shell the fuck out of the barracks and reduce them all to ash, basically sending them to the Shadow Realm. So these fools straight up begin to fortify the barracks. They smash windows, tear down doors, begin to make barricades. Every rifle they had, every gun, every weapon they had, they started loading up and preparing for battle. Now, me personally, I don't know what was going through their heads, but they were drunk. I've never been drunk before, and I don't plan to, because I don't want to make something this stupid happen. I think it'd be funny as fuck, though. Eventually, reveille is sound, and everyone sees the mess that has happened. And other barracks are like, what the hell happened? And, Hitchcock goes over to Thayer, and they have had no clue what to do. They never have seen something like this. I mean, I don't blame them. This shit was back, like, way, way early. Like, America wasn't even 100 years old yet. This shit was still new as fuck to them. But just imagine waking up and seeing an entire fucking barracks destroyed. Like, the day before, you were just partying hardy like it was nothing. Go to bed and you're like, you know what, our cadets over here, they can have a good time. And you wake up the next morning assuming everything's gonna be sunshines and rainbow, and then it's just fire. And it's just destruction everywhere. That's basically what Thayer woke up to. And Thayer was like, I have no clue what to do. And he can't just do a max exodus. He would have kicked out 1/3 of all the cadets at West Point, which he obviously couldn't do. So he just decided to pick out the bad bunches. Some honorable mentions of the people that we've talked about so far and who has and who hasn't got kicked out would be, like, Jefferson Davis. He never got kicked out for some reason. I don't really know why, but he somehow dodged a bullet there. Benjamin Humphrey, he would become a later Confederate general. He got the boot. He got kicked way the fuck out. They booted him off and said, you're grounded. That's basically what they did. They expelled his ass. You got John Campbell, a later justice of the Supreme Court. He didn't get booted. I mean, it's kind of fitting. He did argue his way out of it. I mean, it makes sense. He would become a Supreme Court justice. And you got Hugh Mercer, another Confederate general. He did get the boot. So basically, if you were going to become a Confederate general, you definitely were going to get the boot. That's just canon. It's a canon event, so yeah. But yeah, that's basically the Eggnog Riot in a condensed short form video here. And thank y'all for watching. If y'all really enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It took me a long time to make, and I would really appreciate it. And please subscribe. It's free, and you can always undo it later. I post similar content you do not want to miss out on. Trust me, there's some things I got in the work that will be freaking hilarious to release. And yeah, this is Bala B, or Balaclava Businessman, and yeah,